Welcome to mini lesson 13.2 random decisions. We're going to use some nested if-else conditions to have our sprites make what appears to be random decisions. I guess it is kind of random since we'll be using the random number generator. However, never mind. Let's get to work. Let's check out the Scratch program and see what this looks like. Okay, there's Scratch. And what we'll have here is we'll have a ball, which we can control with our arrow keys, and then we'll slowly have this duck moving towards us. You'll notice the duck is always constantly pointing towards us. Okay, no big deal. And we want the duck to eventually hit us. Okay, and one thing we want to see is that we can make the duck follow us around the screen no matter where we go. And we can also see that this duck is going to start randomly appearing at different locations on the edge of the screen, and it'll start getting faster and faster and faster as it randomly shows up at different coordinates on the screen. Now, I didn't choose all the coordinates. What I've done is I put the code in so it'll come to a location on the x-axis on the far left, a location on the y-axis on the bottom, then a location on the x-axis as it comes in from the right. And you also see that it's going faster and faster and faster. So what's taking place here, I'm just going to get into the root of the program, not all the little details, because technically you already know how to program this. Okay, it's just a directional control or a XY controller, and the stage we just, whoops, I forgot to remove that. We don't need that. Okay, I'm gonna let this duck keep attacking it because it's kind of fun. All right, so our program, again, our duck's the main part of the code here. We'll have a starting location. We'll choose a random number of 1, 2, or 3. And then right here, based upon the random decision, we will choose the starting location. Okay, if it's 1, then we'll go to this x-axis and we'll set the y to a random value. So if it's 1, it's going to be on the left-hand side. And where it's going to fall on the y-axis, we don't know. There's going to be negative 175, which is at the bottom, to 95 at the top. Okay, and I picked these numbers so it wouldn't come up too high and interfere with the kind of the display material for the values. Okay, I'm going to keep letting it going. All right, let's say the random number is 2. Well, if we came down here, if it's not 1, then it's 2, then it would pick this piece of code right here. It would say, okay, go to a random location on the x-axis of negative 235 to positive 235, so all the way far left to far right, and we'll set the y down to negative 185, which is down here. Now, we can pretty much assume we know what would happen if it picked 3 when it came up here, but let's walk through the beginning of the code to the end. So it picks a random number, let's say 1, picks 1, and then it shows up on the left-hand side. Okay, I'll stop that now. All right. And it'll skip the rest of this if-else conditions because they're nested. And I should note that this is not an if-else, it's actually just an if condition, okay? We could have used just a else section, but I went ahead and put that in there just so you can see that we can use an if to double check that value. Now, we're going to infer that it's 1, it does this action, then the code comes down here, and we tell the duck to keep repeating its action until it's touching the beach ball. We'll tell the duck to always point towards the beach ball and to keep moving a certain number of steps towards the beach ball. The value of steps is set to 0.5 at the very beginning. You can see it right up here. Okay, it's very, very, very slow. What happens is once we touch the beach ball, we come down here and we change its size by negative 10, which causes it to shrink and disappear off the screen. Then we increase the speed by a positive 0.5, and then right here, this is kind of a little bit of something called recursion. We take the broadcast message, and technically this isn't really recursion, but it's close enough. And what we do is we recursively send a message back to ourselves. So we tell the broadcast message to send the original duck_0 message back to the top, and the code just keeps going over and over again. Okay, and this will keep repeating itself non-stop until the actual program is turned off. Okay, so that's a little bit with recursion right there. And oh, I forgot to delete that. No big deal. So that's basically what's happening in the code. Okay, nothing real fancy, but it is kind of an important step to take as we move forward into making some more interactive programs. Let's look at our presentation here. So one thing I want you to get a good foundation understanding of is knowing the difference between probability, percent, and ratio. Not so much that it really influences what we and how we code, but it's important to know these concepts because you'll hear these terms interchangeably, and it's important to know the difference between these, even though they're strongly related to each other. So probability is the likelihood that something's going to happen. You know, there's a probability that it could rain today. Okay, we don't know what that is. And your probability can be represented by a percent or a ratio. And when we program, we can use both. Okay, so percent is part of 100, and a ratio is the relationship between two amounts showing the number of times it's contained within another number. Over here, we use the ratio, okay? We're looking for the number 1 with 3 potential choices, okay? So there's a 1 in 3 chance that our number will get picked, okay? Because there's 3 total choices, and we're only going to pick 1. And as you'll see, there's also a possibility where we can say, okay, maybe there's 2 out of 3 we'll select. Okay, knowing that ratio helps us determine what's the probability of some event taking place in the program. And let's see, I already kind of walked through this program right here. Why don't you pause the video and you can go through and do some of the math of calculating the percent of something taking place. Again, I mentioned that there was a 1 in 3 chance of a particular number getting selected right here. That's going to be 33%. You get that from taking 1 out of 3 and, well, you divide first, then you multiply by 100, and that would give you 33%. And again, the ratio is going to be 1 of 3. And up here is a random number selector that has been set for a ratio of values that go from 1 to 10. Okay, so 1 to 10. All right, does that make sense? I guess maybe I should clean this up real quick. When I said pick a random number from 1 to 3, the number that gets selected is from a range of 1 to 3. However, right here is where we determine which value we want to check. We want to see if the start location variable has the value of 1. Okay, so that's taking place right there. And that's all there is to it for this file or for this program. On your stage, again, nothing really to do, but the main programming will take place on the duck with some minimal programming on the beach ball with the XY controller. All right, good luck, and we'll see you in the next video.